Welcome to this episode of Diaspora Scholars TV, where we bring you stories about the journeys of students and scholars who've left their motherland to come to the United States to pursue their careers. So today I'm delighted to meet one Patience Wambugu, who is a student at the Indiana University, Indianapolis. We're going to narrate, or rather she's going to be able to narrate her story. So this is an initiative of the Kenya Scientists in Diaspora, where we go deep into universities and institutions to find where the diaspora are. So again, Patience, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thanks for inviting us to be able to have this conversation about your journey from Africa to the US. So how is everything?
Everything is okay. Yeah, of course, there are many challenges that come with moving, but so far, so good.
So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, so good.
We'll take the glass as half full.
God has kept me.
God has kept you. Amen. If God has kept you, then we'll take that. So, what are you studying at Indiana University, Indianapolis?
So I get excited when I talk about it, but I'm doing a master's in philanthropic studies, which is really just studying giving and how people give, the culture of giving in different contexts, but we're mostly focused in the context in the United States. So we are the kind of people who become managers of nonprofits, fundraisers, help with strategies when it comes to fundraising. Yeah, so it's a really, really wonderful course, and it's a really beautiful school to go to school in. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. You say that people study philanthropic studies. So these are philanthropic studies. I'm sure our viewers in Africa and elsewhere are surprised that you can come to study just about the culture of giving, fundraising, and everything to do with it. Sounds very noble indeed. Very noble indeed. But I'm very curious. When I was told about you, I was very curious. Like, well, I want to meet Patience because I haven't had anybody studying that course.
I know, right?
And our viewers, will really be interested to know a little bit more. But before that, let's trace your journey, back in Kenya. So, where did you go to school?
So I did my primary school in Dr. Agri Primary School. It's actually on your way to Isli.
That is in Nairobi?
Yeah, in Nairobi. Then I did my high school in St. Francis Xavier. It's in Naivasha. Then after that, I went to campus in Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. We call it Juja Boys in Kenya.
I'm sure Juja Boys has another connotation.
But I loved it there. So there I did a bachelor's in development studies. So then after that, now I moved into fundraising. And I used to work for an organization in Diani, Kenya.
Oh, you've also worked in Kenya?
Yeah, I've also worked in Kenya. Actually, that's even how I came to know about the master's, because I was in the fundraising field. I was working for an organization that was taking care of monkeys. So I used to be a fundraising manager for them, then I moved.
Hold your thought. Every time I do these interviews, people pull surprises on me, however much I get prepared. Now you are talking about monkeys. I didn't really expect that. So, but anyway, so you went to school in Nairobi and Naivasha, and then eventually to Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, located in Juja. That is about, probably 45 minutes drive from downtown Nairobi. Right?
Roughly,
So how were studies? You say you did a bachelor's degree in development studies.
Yes.
So what does that entail?
It's sort of like a mixture of community development and sort of like development economics. So you just come to learn about Africa and the development in Africa. You understand poverty a bit better. You come to learn about community development. So it was mostly studies that were very people-focused, but on the development angle. And I had amazing professors who taught me on that. I had a Professor Sakwa, Professor Luanga, Mr. Dennis Kipotich. So it was a wonderful course. And it opened up the doorway to many things, because it opened us up to be whatever you would have wanted to be. Because you're open to going into community development, you're open to going into fundraising. So there were all these things that it brought together.
Coalesce them together to become development studies.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, I remember a book, How Europe and Developed Africa by Walter Rodney.
Walter Rodney. We actually studied it.
You did?
Yeah. In one of the units, I can't remember which one really well. I can't remember if it's the poverty one, but we actually studied that book.
I've read that book a couple of times and I couldn't agree with it more. So that's really good. So after that, you graduated. What year was that?
I graduated, was it 2017?
2017. So that's when you left Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology.
Yeah.
With a bachelor's degree in development studies. And then did you get a job immediately?
No. No. I freelanced for a very long time.
By freelancing, you mean, what are you doing?
I was writing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was writing. So for a while. Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah.
So you mean, popularly called online writing?
Online writing. Yes. And then, so I met a lady actually, her name is Samantha, who introduced me now to the corporate world. She took me up as an intern, just taught me a couple of things. And then that was now my introduction to like the corporate world, to fundraising. And then from then on, God was faithful. I was able to get a job in Diani, and
Diani is the coast, a tourist town.
Yeah, I loved it there.
Yeah, big change, big difference. It's more humid, more beautiful.
That's so true. Yeah, very big, very beautiful.
So is it in a hotel?
No, it was not in a hotel.
You said
it was a conservation organization.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What was the name of the conservation? Because you said
it was called Colobus Conservation.
Oh, I've heard of it.
You've heard of it? Yes,
so that's why you are talking about the monkeys.
They do noble work. So yeah. So that's where I used to work.
So what's the name of that organization again?
Colobus Conservation.
Columbus Conservation.
Conservation. Yeah.
So basically, it's about research with the primates. They conserve. Probably they are endangered species or something.
We have vulnerable species.
Vulnerable species.
Yeah, the colobus monkeys are vulnerable. Yeah, so they take care of them. They take care of actually the 6 primate species in Diani, Kenya. Yeah, doing some really amazing work, running a rescue center that takes care of the primates. Like if their work was not there, the city would look so different in terms of conservation. So those are the people I worked with, and that's where I got even the heart for conservation and the heart for animals and primates. I could literally cry if a monkey died because of a reason that
it's a primate. We should be able to conserve them. There's a direct ecological link between all animals, not to mention that they are primates like human beings anyways.
Exactly. That's so true. Yeah.
You mentioned there are 3 names of some of your professors, and it strikes me, like you mentioned Professor Sakwa, for example. Are they some source of inspiration?
So much. I remember it was hard getting through campus because of issues like school fees.
Yeah, tuition fees.
Yeah. So Professor Sakwa was a big help in terms of that. Like just finding out where I am at, how I'm able to raise the funds and all that. So he was really such a big inspiration in terms of that. Yeah. And
wow. So Professor Sakwa, if you are watching,
I have to send this to you.
Professor Sakwa, if you are watching, Patience Wambugu is here. She's a master's student in the United States at Indiana University, Indianapolis. She seems to be doing well, and she mentions you all the time in addition to other professors. So thanks to you, and I keep doing good work to motivate and inspire other students to pursue careers beyond the environments.
Yeah. And I think if I forget to mention this is the most important. I think my mother was the biggest motivation.
Oh, your mom?
Yeah. Like she's now late.
Oh, Paula.
But I remember like from when I was very young, she used to tell me, you go to the university. She didn't get to the university, in fact. She didn't even step. Like, she was just, there's a time we hosted a cousin. He was going to University of Nairobi. And my mom would just show me his results and tell me, you're going to go to the university. You have to get an education. It's very important.
Despite the fact that she never went into a formal school, she knew her daughter must be able to get to that.
So in my head, I never knew that I can stop in high school or... For her, it was, you have to go to the university. It's important for you. It will help your life. It will help your future. So she's a big inspiration. Like every time, even when I'm thinking, oh, it's hard, this reading is not as easy, I'm like, she said you should be a professor one day. So I'm like, yeah. So she's a very big motivation. She's
wherever she is, I'm sure she's watching, and you're on the journey just to be able to get exactly where she thought you would be. And you seem to be very focused, in getting there. And that's very inspirational indeed. So, how did you end up finding about Indiana University then? I mean, you are here you're in Mombasa working at this conservancy, doing very noble work. So how did you end up coming to the United States then?
So it's actually a really, really beautiful story. So I wanted to do my master's.
Tell me more.
So I wanted to do my master's, but then I was in fundraising and I was really looking forward to just go to the next level. Checking all around Nairobi, Kenya, there were no master's degrees in fundraising or anything of the sort. So then an opportunity came up from work. I went for training. Then, lo and behold, we had someone from Indiana University coming to train on fundraising. Yes. So he's actually called Professor Sharik. He's going to be one of my professors later on. But his focus is mostly on Muslim philanthropy. But that day he was just teaching us on just normal fundraising. So he taught, and the knowledge I gained that day, I was like, I know where I want to do my master's, and I know I want to do my master's with these guys. So I applied for it. I was lucky to get a scholarship.
Wow.
And actually even a job that comes with it. So it's been an amazing
So Professor Sharik is the one who, came to your conservancy, spoke about Indiana University.
It was actually a paid thing in Nairobi. So I left Diani to Nairobi for the
You paid for it?
The company paid for it.
Oh, the company paid for it?
Yeah. So I left Diani to Nairobi for the conference. And then so when I just had, I was like, this is what I want to do. My heart just moved and I knew this is exactly where I want to go next. This is the master's program that's for me. I applied. Of course, the application process takes time. I was accepted. I got scholarships.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then I actually have a small job that I do that comes with it at a foundation here in Indianapolis.
Oh, so so eventually you came. And
did interviews actually.
Let's talk about that because there are people who are watching and they would really be interested to know how how it happened and eventually came. You mentioned that you had to do some interviews. And then you did come. But maybe let's hold on that thought and in our second part we tell the viewers how eventually you applied and came to the US. And a little bit about the application process, because I'm sure there are many watching and they're really inspired by your story. These things happen for real. You don't need a godfather. You have got the father and inspiration from your mom and people like Professor Sakwa, indeed, who can be able to change our lives. So again, thanks for coming and let's talk about the rest of your journey in the second part. So
okay, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.